Senator Jeff Merkley here. 2024 has been a busy year. And as it draws to close, I'm reflecting on 24 of the major things we accomplished this past year. Number 1, preventing stillbirth. My bipartisan Maternal and Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act was signed into law by President Biden in July after passing the House with overwhelming bipartisan support and unanimously passing in the Senate. This bill unlocks critical funding for research and preventing stillbirth tragedy. Number 2, critical funding for Oregon. As chair of the Senate subcommittee that funds the Department of Interior, the EPA, the U.S. Forest Service, I worked with colleagues to draft an appropriations bill that would secure critical resources for Oregon, from wildfire relief to earthquake resiliency. And I fought for 139 homegrown community projects across our state, including $1 million for the Klamath tribes to create a forest restoration and wildfire management workforce training program for tribal members and rural communities, and $4 million to the city of North Bend to construct affordable housing. Number 3, promoting peace in Tibet. President Biden signed into law my bipartisan bill supporting self-determination for Tibetans and promoting peace between Tibet and China. Number 4, rescheduling cannabis. I pushed the Biden administration to make good on the president's commitment to address the harms done by the criminalization of cannabis and remove cannabis Schedule I status. And this year, they started the process to make that happen. I continue to push for the descheduling of cannabis, the passage of my Safer Banking Act, which passed in committee for the first time, and the achievement of other cannabis reforms rooted in restorative justice. Number 5, protecting pollinators and western monarch butterflies. I've established programs to restore the western monarch butterfly, including $7 million in federal funding to support pollinator conservation. And earlier this year, the Senate unanimously adopted my bipartisan, bicameral National Pollinator Week resolution, an important way to reaffirm our commitment to protecting our critical pollinators for years to come. Number 6, helping Oregonians. My amazing constituent services team helped hundreds of Oregonians facing roadblocks, from delayed Social Security and disability benefits to delayed visas, fixing mail delivery snafus, and many other issues. And they worked tirelessly to secure transportation to Oregon for Palestinian children needing vital medical care. Number 7, eliminating the dangerous 6-PPD chemical. I shined a light on the salmon-killing chemical prevalent in tires called 6-PPD and funded EPA's efforts to find a safe alternative. Number 8, tackling plastic pollution. I led congressional colleagues on delegations to INC4 in Ottawa, Canada, and INC5 in Busan, South Korea, to put pressure on international negotiators to reach an ambitious global agreement to tackle the plastic pollution crisis. I also convened a series of 6 Senate hearings on plastics and spearheaded the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act, a comprehensive approach for addressing this crisis. Number 9, the Rose Quarter Improvement Project. I worked with the Oregon delegation, and huge credit to Representative Blumenauer, to secure $490 million for the I-5 Rose Quarter Improvement Project to help restore a historic Black neighborhood in Portland into a cohesive, vibrant community, a community previously unjustly brutalized by the construction of the I-5 freeway project. This funding is a commitment to the critical work of community organizations like Albina Vision Trust that help bring that vision to life. Number 10, calls for ceasefire and aid in Gaza. I was the first senator to call for a lasting ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war that is needed to bring all the hostages home, end the destructive bombing, and enable a massive influx of humanitarian aid into Gaza. I organized support for my Operation Gaza Relief and voted against 3 sales of offensive weapons to Israel to end U.S. complicity in the massive carnage inflicted in Gaza. Number 11, work in Vietnam. I led support for a program to address legacy Vietnam War damage, including removing unexploded cluster munitions, Agent Orange decontamination, and DNA assistance to help the return of Vietnam's martyrs to their families. I also worked to secure the release of detained environmental advocate Min Hong. I am relieved that she has been reunited with her family. This news is a stark reminder that the protection of human rights and human dignity must remain at the forefront of U.S. foreign policy. Number 12, protecting travelers' privacy. I continue to lead the fight to bring oversight to TSA's use of facial recognition technology in airports. This is the TSA's first step to establish a national surveillance state that puts our privacy and our freedom at risk. And I continue to work to get my bipartisan Traveler Privacy Protection Act to the finish line. Number 13, banning congressional stock trading. My Ethics Act, a proposal to ban members of Congress and their families from buying and trading stocks, passed out of committee in July with bipartisan support. First time in Senate history that legislation to ban congressional stock trading successfully advanced. Next stop, the Senate floor. It's well past time we ban this corrupt practice. Lawmakers should serve the people, not their portfolios. Number 14, shoring up Oregon infrastructure. I helped secure key infrastructure investments to replace aging bridges, including $1.5 billion to replace the I-5 bridge and over $200 million to replace the Hood River White Salmon Bridge. These projects will boost our economy, increase seismic resiliency, create union jobs, help ensure safer, more reliable transportation for years to come. Number 15, banning asbestos. For years, I've championed an end to importing and manufacturing with asbestos. And this year it happened. The EPA announced in March a ban on the use of crystalline asbestos in the United States. It's a step forward, and I'll keep fighting to keep Americans safe from this threat. Number 16, taking on election casinos. I led congressional opposition to election betting, supporting CFTC's denial of election contracts. When a court overturned that decision, I introduced a bill in the Senate to ban election gambling. Reducing our elections to a horse race for gamblers' profits, rather than a choice to promote our best leaders, is a fundamental assault on our democracy. Number 17, strengthening Oregon semiconductor production. Thanks to the CHIPS and Science Act, investments in semiconductor manufacturing are headed to our state, included $1.86 billion in federal funding for Intel and $50 million investment in HP's semiconductor technology and more, keeping us at the forefront of technology and bringing good jobs to our state. Number 18, renewing critical wildfire protections. State and federal agencies fighting fires in southern Western Oregon came to a renewed agreement on the Western Oregon Operating Plan, known as WOOP, that boosts coordination, cooperation, and preparedness for fighting wildfires. I pressed for a long-term renewal of an agreement to coordinate the WOOP for 5 years that meets the needs of our communities. Number 19, establishing a Coos Bay container port. I championed the establishment of a deepwater container port in Coos Bay, and huge kudos to Oregon Congresswoman Val Hoyle and the entire Oregon delegation that helped the project win $54 million in federal grants, and I facilitated meetings with key stakeholders in South Korea and Taiwan. Number 20, preventing institutional child abuse. The Senate passed my bipartisan Stop Institutional Child Abuse Act to help end abuse in dangerous youth residential treatment programs. This accomplishment is thanks to years of tireless work from survivors and advocates, including the courageous advocacy of Paris Hilton. Number 21, LNG exports. I led my Senate colleagues in urging the Biden administration to block the expansion of LNG. Because we spoke out, the Biden administration paused approval of new LNG export facilities. This is a win because LNG is the worst fossil fuel when it comes to climate change. Not only that, but those exports would raise energy prices for families while destroying our climate goals. We have to put the health of our communities and planet ahead of polluter profits. Number 22, supporting tribal sovereignty. I sponsored laws to correct historical injustices done to Oregon tribes, including one that revokes decades-long discriminatory legal clause that prohibited the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians from hunting, fishing, and gathering off the reservation. Another law restores the ability of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde to address future land claims and compensation. Both were signed by President Biden and implemented this year. Number 23, removing Klamath dams. I pressed for 16 years to remove 4 Klamath dams blocking salmon, and this year it happened. It is the largest dam removal project in our nation's history. A vast stretch of the Klamath River is now flowing free. Even better, in just this first year, the salmon have returned and they have spawned. We've been working towards this moment for decades, and now it's here. And finally, number 24, highlighting Oregon's treasures. I created the Oregon Treasures Quest, encouraging folks to get out and enjoy all the beauty and wonder that our state has to offer, with sites highlighted in each of Oregon's 36 incredible counties, from Marion to Malheur. Watch out for the 2025 Oregon Treasures Quest book and prepare to hit the road. Those are just 24 of the things that I've worked on and moved forward in 2024. None of this would be possible without my incredible team and without all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your input. Whether you call my office, whether you write it, or you attend one of my 36 town halls that I hold every year, a town hall in each of Oregon's counties. Thank you for being partners in making Oregon and our world a better place. In 2025, let's keep working together to build a brighter future.